DCS Webinar. Today we have lots of faces that we don't necessarily always have, which is very exciting. So welcome to Jo and to Ben. I'm going to pass over to Monica to start the housekeeping and tell us what we're talking about today. Monica.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the July webinar. Today's session, as usual, is being recorded and will be shared with all registrants later this week. So if you would like to share the recording with a colleague who was unable to attend, or if you would like to revisit any of the content covered in today's session, you can. And a copy of the slides and the Q&A will also be sent to you all next week. The audio for this session is available through your computer speakers or by dialing in by phone. So if you experience any poor sound quality at any time through your computer speakers, you might want to try dialing into the session by phone instead. And this can be done by accessing your device settings at the top of your screen within the team session, clicking the three dots for more settings, then selecting device settings, and a device settings area will open on your right-hand side. Participants will remain muted throughout the session. However, there is a chat area which can also be accessed via the top of your screen within Teams, and we will be monitoring this throughout the session. So please submit any questions or comments you may have at any time. And then there will be a usual open Q&A at the end of the session. And as Imogen mentioned, we are joined by Jo from the British Library, who will give us a general update on their services, and also Ben, CLA's Senior Application Support Analyst, who will briefly go over some details on what happens during rechecks and permissions with the second line support team. And Imogen will also be giving us an update on the DCS 2.0 build. And here's our agenda, as I've just mentioned. It will be the British Library update from Jo, rechecks and permissions with Ben, and a small reminders checklist from me, and then on to Imogen for DCS 2.0. And as usual, we will have time for a Q&A at the end of the webinar, but feel free to ask in the chat if anything comes to mind during the webinar. So on to Jo for the British Library update. Thanks, Jo.
I'm Jo Cox from the British Library, working customer services for those of you who don't know me, sort of deal with the day-to-day e-HES stuff within the library. So I'm just going to give a bit of an update on the British Library, where we are post-cyber, what we've been working on, what we've been doing. So if you'd like to go to the next slide, please, Monica.
Yeah.
Okay, so we started off the new year with a new CEO. Rebecca Lawrence. She started in January. She took over from Rolly Keating, and she's had a successful career in leadership roles across public sectors and university sectors. So she's worked for the Treasury, Home Office, Mayor's Office for Policing and Crime, and the Crown Prosecution Service. And within these roles, she's had to lead organisations through changes, pandemic, changes in resourcing, digital transformation, and more specifically, digital security innovation. So she's quite a perfect fit for the British Library at this time. And so since she started, she's been going around meeting people and assessing the challenges, working on the cyber recovery and looking at the opportunities we've got coming forward for the BL in general. Next. So as you are aware, the British Library, as well as a lot of your own organisations, have gone through some major changes in recent years, and I wanted to cover some of these changes and how they're helping us formulate plans for future services that we're going to provide. So competition, I mean, there are now, as you will know, many different companies and vendors that deal with document supply. They provide a fast, efficient and a cheaper service, certainly faster than we are. And honestly, we can't compete with some of the technology that's out there. Digital articles are more widely available, easily available elsewhere through open access, publisher websites, publisher deals, and dare I say more illicit methods that we probably don't agree with. And partly due to this increase in digital items and the growth of consortia such as Wealth, it has become easier for libraries to freely share resources between yourselves instead of coming to us to pay for it. And plus, on top of all that, just in case that wasn't enough, the fact that the library was closed due to COVID, and then obviously the cyber attack, which happened in October 2023, you've all found alternate sources. So you're not coming to us anymore. Next, please. So where does all this leave us? To be honest, currently it feels a little bit like we've gone back to the 1960s in time, hence the picture. Prior to the cyber attack, our services were very broad, they were complex, and to be honest, they were costly to maintain. We are a difficult library to use, particularly at this time where we are running a very manual service outside most of your library management systems. So we're using email and then paper requests internally. So it's very much like pre-automation. Luckily, because the library's got a staff that have worked here for years, most of us remember how it was done before automation. So actually creating a manual service was quite easy for us, but it does make it very clunky as a service. It also makes the service very expensive to run, which means that unfortunately, due to increased costs, we will be increasing our prices from the 1st of October 2025 by 10%. This is because of the increased cost of running service, but also government rules, because the government rules say that we can't run at a loss. And so we held the prices last year, because obviously we can't, but because we're still running the manual service, we are having to put the prices up in October. We are currently unable to send targeted communications because we still, after cyber, don't have a CRM system that we can just pull email addresses from. So I know the CLA have informed you about the EHES prices. If any of your colleagues in document supply haven't heard from us, just drop me an email and I can make sure that we get those new prices out to you. Okay, next. So getting there. We've been out of the loop for quite a long time. The good news is that our customers and partners have told us that they miss us and still need us, particularly for content that's hard to get that only we have. So that is good news for us because we were wondering whether or not there would still be a need for us. And it's good because the current service, even though it's very clunky, we do have 593 organisations that are using the new workaround. So that's very positive. As well as that, the British Library has a statutory requirement to make the service of the British Library available, in particular to institutions of education and learning, other industries and libraries. So as a national library, we should be making our collection available to all researchers, however they can and wherever they are, so not just in the reading rooms, which is good because it means we're not going away. The cyber attack, I should have really had a competition to see how many times I use the word cyber. The cyber attack has given us the opportunity to realise what we are good at and what service you need from us, but also what you don't need, what you haven't missed while we've been closed, which is almost as important to us as what you have missed. The broad range of services we offered before and the systems and workflows that we had and needed to support them were based on a time where we were getting 4 million requests a year. We were the only place to come. There was no competition. And to be honest, we can't bring that back. We need to work on our long-term role in the document supply community. And we need to do that based on the challenges that I mentioned earlier on. And we have to standardise and simplify the service offering. As you will may be aware, may not be aware, we are in the process of implementing Alma, Primo VE and Rapido to meet these new services. And we're in the process of running workshops with Ex Libris to set out our requirements for an automated ILL service, which means we need to look at the demand for the services we did offer, what we want to bring back, and what the system can do, what the system can actually offer us. So we're also working with partners such as the CLA to ensure we have the correct processes in place to integrate requesting for all our services. Obviously, EHS is one of our major ones, and we need to make sure that that improves and gets better. We're looking to join Rapid ILL as a supplier, and we are again working on with partners such as Wealth and other library management providers to make sure our services are as easy as possible. So the current timeline is that we will be implementing Alma and Primo VE in November, with a view of bringing Rapido and Rapid ILL online in spring next year. So hopefully we will see some improvements in what we can do. And we would just like to thank everybody for your support over the last 18 months and patience particularly, because it's not been an easy time. Okay, next. Away from document supply and EHS, I just thought I'd give you a quick update on what's going on with our buildings. So we are transforming the British Library. We've got three things going on. So there's the St Pancras transformed to build up an 800,000 square feet extension. We've got Boston Spa renewed, where we're working on a high density, low oxygen building, and we've got something in lease presence. So next one, please, Monica. So our Boston Spa site, as I said, we're building this new warehouse. The shell is now complete. This is inside the void, where all the stacking is. So they've just started putting the stacking in there. It will hold 225 linear kilometres of storage, and around 200,000 totes, so boxes with books in. So we do desperately need it because our additional storage building is almost full. We were expecting that to take longer to fill up, but for many reasons it isn't. We're still adding around 12 kilometres of stock per year to our collection, so things are sort of filling up quick. Next. Transforming the British Library at St Pancras. As I said, we are expanding the library in London. This is an artist's impression of what it's going to look like. And we're hoping to welcome hundreds of thousands more people. We are going to have new exhibition galleries. We're going to have more diverse spaces for business support and to help entrepreneurs start new businesses. We've got a new learning centre, providing a better offering for families particularly. We're very keen to get young people into the library as soon as we can. And there'll be new entrances. So yeah, we're really looking forward to that. And then the last one, please. Thank you. And then we have, we're still working on a presence in Leeds. If anybody has ever been to the library in Boston Spa or knows the area, you will know we're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, to be honest. So it's very difficult for people to get us. We are looking at using a building in Leeds called Temple Works. I will say this is an artist's impression again, because it really, I walked past it a couple of weeks ago. It does not look like this at the minute. It's a bit of a building, but we are looking to open this building in Leeds. It's just behind the railway station, so it'll be easy to get to. We have just received £10 million funding to continue the work, so we're hoping to have that. We haven't got timelines for it yet, but we're hoping to be able to have a presence in Leeds to make us more accessible. And that is me done. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Jo. Very exciting stuff from the British Library. There are a few questions. I wondered if you wanted to address them now or later. Sure. They were just some requests.
Yeah, it's less questions and more requests for information. So we'll gather them together and follow up after the call. It's maybe easier.
Yeah, super. Yeah, just let me know and I can send you anything we need.
Great.
Yeah. There are no questions as such, just comments on how amazing it looks. Oh, here we go. Questions coming through. So what will be in the Leeds building stock-wise?
Stock-wise, there won't be any stock actually held there. There may be some bits and pieces on open access, but the general thing is there is going to be a reading room. There's going to be an exhibition area and a gallery, but you will need to order your material in advance, and we will then make sure it's there on the day that you get there. So it won't be like it will be very much like our library in that it's not somewhere you can just walk in and browse. It'll be somewhere where you come to use the reading rooms, but you need to order the material, and we'll make sure it's there for when you get there.
Well, and Monica, you'd maybe spotted this before, but I only just have. There's a question in the Q&A as well. Will the understandably restricted web pages be updated with the pricing for on-demand, etc.? And there's a link to the place specifically.
No, no. We're targeting the short answer is no. The prices will not be going on the website. We never put the prices that all you guys will be on is the public good price, and we never actually put them on the website. We only ever put our full commercial rates on. Currently, we are not able to offer a service to our commercial people, so we've not put any prices up there. We are you've got the EHES prices, because I know that the CLA have already circulated the EHES prices. If anybody has been using the service since cyber, we are collating your email addresses, and we're going to be sending the comms out to you specifically. But we can, as I say, we can't do a general like we used to do, because we don't have access to the database. I hope that answers the question.
Cool. Couple more requests, few more requests for prices.
Yeah, that's fine.
I mean, I would also add that the new EHAS pricing is on the dashboard of the DCS currently. So if you're a DCS user, you can just log in, and the announcement section of the dashboard has the pricing. But we'll gather them all together and get it
and I'll make
direct
sure
from Jo.
Yeah, I'll make sure
as well. So there's too many to start, appreciating, but lots of people as well. Great. Any other questions as such for Jo at the moment? When can we expect the Born Digital EHES content to come back as pre-cyber?
I wish I had an answer for you. I don't know. They're working on it, because they're also wanting access back into the reading rooms. But there's quite a lot of negotiation with the publishers on that. We do have limited access to some of the Born Digital material, but not a great deal, so not enough to sort of advertise at the moment. But we will let you know as soon as it becomes available. There's lots of issues. I think because of what happened, our security, cybersecurity, being hyper vigilant, which is right, because we certainly don't want it to happen again. But things are just taking a long time, so I will let you know as soon as that becomes available.
Great. Jo has said she's able to stick around till the end, so feel free to add more questions. But I think, Monica, we could move on now, because I know Ben's got a time limit.
No worries. So thank you, Jo. So we come to the rechecks to do list as an HEI and DCS user. Ben, would you be able to go over what you guys do as a second line support team at this time for rechecks and permissions?
Yes, I'm assuming everyone's aware that the reason we need to do these rechecks once a year. So it's possible that titles could have become excluded from the first time they were checked. It might be useful for you to understand some of the reasons why a title might have had its permissions changed through the year. So over the past year, the following may have happened. So a publisher may have explicitly excluded some or all of their titles from the CLA licenses. For UK titles, publishers would do this with PLS directly, the publisher's licensing service. It would update their system, and their system would automatically tell our system about those repertoire rules. For US titles, the CCC, Copyright clearance centre would do the same thing, and they would tell us about it. And theoretically, we could have a bilateral agreement with a foreign territory that has come to an end. So whilst this is very uncommon, it has happened. So I think we had an agreement with Taiwan, which ended about 15 years ago. And when the Russian sanctions came in 4 or 5 years ago, that bilateral agreement ended, and therefore all of those titles would no longer be covered by the license. Other reasons, titles might become excluded through the year. A rights holder might sell some of those titles to another rights holder. So it's not uncommon for an imprint to be passed between publishers, and if the new publisher had excluded their titles, then that would be a reason that those titles would become excluded through the year. And the last one, which probably is not so obvious, so CLA might become aware of some particular categories that a title might belong to that would make it excluded from our license. So, for example, a workbook or printed music or a map, or perhaps we identify a title as belonging to a different territory than we originally thought. So throughout the year, we're always enriching the metadata associated with the titles, and should any of those changes mean that it's no longer covered, then at recheck that exclusion would be reflected. So that's just a little overview of why titles might become excluded through the year. Very brief summary of how we as second line support run the process. So from the 1st of August, tomorrow, we'll begin triggering the process for HEIs. We do this. This is triggered per HEI. We would run small batches. Running small batches just means that we can monitor the process, and should anything unexpected happen, should the API be down, then running the small batches makes it easier to handle that. When we trigger the process for an individual HEI, the DCS will identify all requests that require a recheck, and will send an individual API call to our check permissions API, and the results will be reflected on the request. Just to remind you which requests will and won't be checked. We won't be rechecking any deleted or archived requests. So only those yet to be published, or those that are currently published. So we won't be checking things with an override of legal exception, direct permission, open access, primary license, or Creative Commons. So it would only be, I think, those with a current license value of CLA or second extract. Then, as soon as the recheck is completed for an individual HEI, a report gets created for us, which would highlight any errors. That generally doesn't happen. Should any errors occur, we do have the ability to rerun the process for an HEI. As soon as it's completed, we'll inform first line support, and they will notify yourselves, I believe, as soon as that's completed. We expect the process to take no more than 2 or 3 days, assuming no issues. I don't think we're really not expecting any issues. It's a fairly well-established process, and that's it from our perspective.
That's great. Thank you, Ben. Ben won't be around for the end of the webinar, but does anyone have any questions just now have come to mind for Ben?
If so, I think you've got approximately 2.5 minutes to get them into the chat. In the meantime, Monica, take it away. Thanks very much, Ben.
Great. Thank you, Ben. So just to round off, I'm going to briefly go over some reminders on what to check when rechecks begin. Some immediate actions to take in the first week of August are to check your dashboard for any items marked as CLA license excluded. These will revert to pending license and break, so make sure to check them. Secondly, reviewing license status unknown titles. These include recent overrides, missing ISNs or not found items. And most importantly, use the check permissions tool on the CLA website to confirm the status of titles. These checks help you catch any issues early on and avoid disruptions for students. And then once rechecking has run, there are a few follow-up actions to complete before the 1st of September. So if you've overridden any content in July, you'll need to override it again. These may not have been processed on time, so be sure to also email permissions@cla.co.uk so they can update the system. If your institution has 10 or more titles with no ISNs, you can use your HEI report to review them efficiently. If we hark back to last month's webinar where I gave a small demo on how to do this, this helps avoid any broken links and ensures coverage of relevant titles. But if you have fewer than 10 or no ISN titles, it's quicker to check them manually through the DCS dashboard. All you'll have to do is confirm the publisher isn't on the excluded list on the CLA website. You should also add new records for any titles not found in check permissions. So make sure to include both the title and ISN where possible. And don't forget to ensure EHES orders are pending. They'll be included in the recheck process. To conclude, here are a few ongoing tasks and reminders to keep an eye on throughout the year. If you come across any not found or excluded titles, you can send your queries to permissions@cla.co.uk. And if your override a title is covered by CLA license, remember this does not regenerate the link. You must scroll down to the bottom of the content request page and click generate link to reactivate it. Make sure also that your EHES orders are in place. They'll be processed automatically during rechecking. And finally, if you believe a title has been wrongly excluded, don't hesitate to challenge it by contacting permissions@cla.co.uk. And here is a summary of those key dates. 1st of August, rechecks begin, so that is tomorrow. And then early August, you will receive notifications once your rechecks process is complete. And by the 1st of September, it is hoped that you as HEIs will have completed the review of your content. And we come to the DCS 2.0 update from Imogen. Imogen, would you like to take over the...
I will, thank you. Just very quickly before we go there, we did have a question. What about titles that have come into the CLA license? Keen to know what happens with those two. So if something wasn't previously part of it and now is, then it will simply, the check permissions, that the process will mark it as part of our mandate. So for example, if you had to do a direct permission or some sort of override, then it'll now just be marked as part of the CLA mandate. So it'll happen automatically as part of the process. Cool. I don't see any other questions related to that, but we will have time at the end if anything comes up. So let's carry on. Okay, so last month I talked about the fact that the build was going to take a little bit longer than we'd originally forecast, and we weren't going to be releasing in August. We had hoped that we'd kind of bring it in this side of Christmas. To be honest, having worked through all the possibilities for a 2025 release with our HEI partners, and then looking at the impact of that with the development team, we think it's going to be safest to wait until 2026. In terms of the build, oh, that's interesting. Okay, I'm gonna, well, okay, I had some animations, they're not working, but that's all right. So last time we spoke, this is what we had built already. So we've been working on the DCS API. We'd put in the plumbing for our library management system, so the do you own it checks. So far, just in a kind of dummy version. And then we've done a lot of designs in preparation. We've now also built in the integration fully with all of our 6 partners, and they're all working. So that's great. Whoever your partner is, it should work absolutely fine in the new system too. We've been working on the academic request form. So those of you who use the academic request form with lecturers, that kind of journey from a lecturer submitting the form, translating that into a content request and kind of following that through. The completed request page. So this is the first time that we've seen requests kind of brought together into a joint area. We've been looking at we're just starting work on the authentication. So the IP authentication, so that's for on-campus access is in place. In terms of alternative authentication, so for students off campus, they're kind of halfway through the work for manual students. So this tends to be smaller universities who literally put in student email addresses to authenticate. And we've been working on some tools for user support. So that's for our team, basically, to help you largely. Designs, we have, oh, how do I get this to move forward? I'm not sure I do. There we go. We've been continuing with the work on the EHES plans, and then looking at starting to look at the reporting function, and then the audit log, which will be again for us to support, so so we can help look into what's happened if we need to. It's a couple of things that I want to show you today. If this is going to work, yep. So we're going to have a quick look at the completed request page. And then I want to show you some of the support tools that we've built in. Now, I have made little videos and I really hope they're going to work. Let's see. So the completed request page, is, there we go. The completed request page, it'll be exactly the same thing, access from the left-hand menu. You can copy the student link with a single click. You can open a preview of the PDF. It'll be in whatever your default PDF viewer is. There are other, you can go directly to the request itself, of course, and view that. Sound is gone. It's just me talking. There's no sound on the video. Hopefully you can still hear me. And then there are other kind of actions in the actions table, where we haven't actually built these yet. You'll be able to clone the request, delete it, that kind of thing. I am just adding, there we go, a representative screenshot, because I know that videos don't play back in the webinar recording. So if you're watching it back, I was just doing a live action of what you can see on the screen now. Next up, the support tools. So there are, again, I'll just play this and then I'll put a screenshot up to model. So here I'm logged in as you would be, so as an HEI user, and there are 3 tools. There's an accessibility tools, then there's a link to get support, and there's a way to send a message. And they'll all be from this little Get Help menu at the top. So we'll look at those in turn. The accessibility tool, the first menu, is our accessibility tool, Recite Me. You might actually have already seen this on the CLA website. It's our CLA accessibility adopted tool. We've now built it into the DCS, so your teams will be able to use a variety of supportive tools across the platform. Now, there is audio playing, but I can't hear it, so I'm assuming you can't either. But basically, you can read aloud all of the elements, you can play around with the font, you can actually translate it into a different language if that's helpful for you. Aramaic, why not? Or Armenian, rather. Then you can change the color schemes. So I've put a light or a dark font on if that's easier for you to process. We have a ruler and a mask, which are sort of opposite things, where when you turn it on, it'll just kind of help you work through tables largely or large chunks of text. There are, yeah, you can change how big the cursor is if that's helpful. Then this is almost the kind of opposite to the ruler, so you can mask everything apart from the little section. If it says turn off animations, but to be honest, we don't have many animations in the DCS. It's probably not going to be the most helpful one. Settings, you can turn off the play audio automatic play, and then reset it to the default. And then there's a user guide, which will open in a different browser if you'd like it to. And then you just close it to get rid of that and return to the DCS as it is. So hopefully that'll be a real benefit. I'm going to just move it forward and put the screenshot on so people can see roughly what I've been talking about if you're watching back. Yeah, so hopefully that's going to help a whole variety of accessibility elements and be beneficial. Next, we have a couple of tools related to getting support from our team, so from Monica and Stephen. The first one is copy support link. Now this is simply copying the URL of the page that you are on, so you can send it out to anyone that's also got access. So you can't just send it to a random person, but you could send it to a colleague who has access to the DCS to kind of check something with them, or you could send it in an email to us. You can also use the button send message, which I'm doing here, and that will include the link and send a message directly to our team. You can see the actual messaging bit hasn't been built yet, but the kind of UI part is there. So these will be in place, obviously, once we go live. Again, I'm just going to put a little screenshot so that those who are watching back can see roughly what I've been talking about. Good. So these are the elements that I wanted to show you for now. Oh, no, sorry. Finally, something that is for us at CLA. So we will have the ability to move ourselves to any institution in the DCS. So this means that we can see things from your angle. It's a little bit different to how the support side currently works. At the moment, we can kind of impersonate any user. But this time we will always be us. Oh, sorry, I should play the video and you can have a look at what I'm doing while I talk. In the new system, we'll always be us, CLA staff, but we'll temporarily be attached to the institution that we're helping, that we're looking at. If we edit anything there, then it will appear on the audit log as actioned by a CLA staff member, so it'll be very clear that it was us and not you who did it. And then we'll have our separate CLA only portal where we manage the kind of behind the scenes stuff, so your institution settings, things like that. So we will still be able to see what you see so that we're able to support you more effectively. Good. Again, little screenshot for people who are watching back in the recording so that you can see, this is the drop down. We will reassign ourselves to whatever institution we're working with. We have now put all of the questions that we had so far into a new FAQs, a new FAQs in the, there we go. Yes, it is here. I can't. Monica, I don't know if you're able to pull out the URL. If not, Yeah, to the
Oh,
QRA
right.
in the knowledge base. It's in the screen. I just can't both present and pull it out. If not, we'll put it in the chat
Yeah,
after.
sure, I'll do that. Just
But thank you. The questions that we've had so far are in a new article in the knowledge base. If you want to submit a question, we've got a form. There's a QR code or the link. Again, we'll put the link in the chat in a minute, to add additional questions. We actually didn't have anything since the last meeting, but feel free to submit anything you want, and we'll get back to you. Even if we don't have a firm, absolute answer, we'll get back to you somehow.
nope, we have one.
I'm going to come back to that in a moment. I mean, to be honest, that's kind of the update that I wanted to give you. So that's us. Do uploaded PDFs need to be made accessible before uploading? Ah, well, that is a great question, Christine. Technically, no. The system will accept whatever PDF you upload, but obviously the more accessible, the better for your students, and the more accessible, the more helpful across the board for the community, in the sense that everybody is trying to make everything as accessible as possible for students. But technically, the system will accept it regardless. We'll just ask you to, indicate, has it been OCR'd? We will be building in the new system. Additionally, does it have alt text for images? Has it been tagged for reflowing? But they're not in place yet. So accessibility, I mean, everybody is on a different place in their journey to being super accessible. Some people are doing a lot of processing before uploading, which is absolutely amazing and a huge benefit to everyone. And some people don't have the teams, don't have the resources, or just aren't there yet in terms of their journey. And the system won't stop you uploading it at all. I hope that answers that. Good. On to Q&A. Anything else? I don't see anything in the actual Q&A, and I think we've picked up. Oh, hang on. Yep, no, that's the last one. So we've got a few minutes left if anybody would like to ask a question. Monica has, thank you very much, added URLs both to, actually no, that's the same one twice, sorry. So that is our new article with existing FAQs. There was a QR code, I'll go back to it actually, to add new, oh no, there we go, great, to add new questions, and then Monica's just popped in the URL to take you directly there as well. Thanks for that. Still not seeing any questions, so oh, there we go. Will the links to items with no ISBN be removed at recheck? That is, I think, correct. You've looked into this more recently than I have, Monica. I think that's correct, that they'll remain live, but we would ask you to check through them, and we would ask you to do it by the end of September, so ahead of the new year. So it is still a requirement to check it, but we're not going to break it for you. That's right, isn't it, Monica? I know you've done research, you've looked into this more recently than I have.
I think you're right, Imogen.
Yeah.
Will the
Okay,
links to
good.
items with no ISN be removed at rechecked? That
is correct, and if it's not, we'll let you know.
So titles with no ISBN or ISN. Okay, yeah, I think so. I will double check this. But yeah, I think what Imogen said was right.
Yeah, because we used to break them, and then 2-3 years ago we left them live, and so they do remain live, but
Yes.
we ask you to check them. So
Yes.
yeah.
And if you do come across the ISBN, is it suggested that they enter the ISN or the ISBN?
Well, if there is one, then great, add it. But I think usually it's the point is that there isn't one. So yeah. Cool. Okay. Any other questions? If not, I think let's call it a day. You can always add questions to the log later. Will the new accessibility features negate any PDF editing prior to upload? Okay, you've got two questions in one there. So, will the new accessibility features negate any PDF editing prior to upload? No, they won't. We will not be doing the processing. We do have aspirations to automatically scan for how accessible they are. And we'll see if we manage to build that in for launch, or if that's the thing that has to come later. At the very least, you'll be able, in the same way as you can now, flag that something has been OCR'd. You'll be able to inform people if something has other features. Question 2, provided documents are OCR'd, is there any need for additional edits? As I say, everybody's in a different place on their journey. OCR is the most important thing. That allows things to be machine read, to be searched through the text and also potentially read out. If you tag it for reflow, then that means that the system will read things out in the right order. And if you add alt text, it means that if you do have students with visual impairments, they're able to know what's happening in an image that they can't see. So we at CLA do not put stipulations on this. It's up to you to decide what's required for your students. Will copyright notices be generated in the same way? Yes, we will apply the cover notice to the front of every sheet. That's not actually been built in yet. I think it's on the roadmap for within the next 6 weeks. Can't remember exactly where we put it. Once we've got it, I'll show you. I'll give you a little demo once it's built in. Okay, going once, going twice.
I think there's one about copyright notices.
No, I've just we've just looked at that one. So that's the cover sheet.
That's what you meant.
It will be done. Yeah. Good. Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming, and thank you so much to Jo and to Ben, who's had to go already, for coming. Jo, it's great to hear.
Oh, there is
so much
also
about
a
this.
Q&A. Yes, this is true.
There are, but I think we've answered them all. Yep,
Chris has just
we did address
come
those.
with
No, that was the previous one. That was the first one. Oh, hang on, new posts. There are. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, it hadn't refreshed. Target. No, we will not be launching in August. It will be into next year. I don't know exactly when, but we'll let you know the date as soon as we have the date. And just Q&A. We anticipate a downtime of up to 1 week. Exact timing should close to launch. Okay. So yeah, I mean, probably when we launch, there will still be a downtime of a week or so, because that's about migrating the data, testing the data, making sure it's right. That's, to be clear, downtime for you, the library staff. The links for students would remain live for the vast majority of that. We'll have to obviously switch from the old to the new system at some point, which will mean there's a bit of downtime. But in theory, this should be kind of similar to when we do a release now. So it's like half an hour. Obviously, we'll let you know the details when we're much closer to launch. But the downtime itself is for you, the library staff. But no, launch will be next year. I don't know that there ever was a large tech project that went entirely to original schedule. So there we go. Okay, I missed those ones. Am I missing any more?
I don't think so. You've addressed the August target date.
Cool.
Not likely to happen. What about titles that have come in? Yep, you've done that one.
Yeah, those ones are older. So
all good.
Super. All right. Well, thank you very, very much, everybody. Thank you again to Jo. I'm quite excited hearing all about the BL plans. So that's wonderful. And we'll see you next month. Where I think we'll have a guest speaker again. I think Sarah Breer. Yep, our education sector manager is going to come and talk about using the DCS content from the DCS with overseas campus students. So that's something to look forward to, and we'll see you at the end of August. Thank you very much, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.